All right, now under current Michigan law, a man may not be the father but still owe child support for children who clearly aren't his. But a bill moving through the state legislature is looking to change that. That bill would protect men from being forced to pay for another man's child. State Representative Jim Runstead introduced the bill, and he's here along with Carneal Alexander, the head of Dads by Default and the Carneal Alexander Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
First of all, Carneal, tell us a little bit about your story. You're the victim of this type of procedure and this type of, I want to say mix-up, but it's not a mix-up.
No, it's not a mix-up. It's blatant mishandling of legal documents. I put it in that terms. Somewhere in the year of 1989, a child support case was brought to the court against me, but at that present time, I was incarcerated. So the process server lied and said he encountered me at my dad's house, and I refused to sign the paperwork. So that paperwork got pushed into the system, and they started the bill.
So that's when the clock started running. You clearly were not served because you could not physically have been where they said they served you.
Right.
Let's fast forward this. How long had that clock been ticking? How much money accumulated? And how did they try to get this money from you?
Well, I'm a construction worker for Locals Labor 1191 here in Detroit. And as I began to put my life together after coming home from prison from the encounter that I had when I was a younger man, I started to work construction, and they started to deduct it out of my salary, take my tax form, income taxes and stuff like that.
So they began taking money for children that were not yours. Representative, how common a situation is this, and how does this even happen?
Well, there was a study done down south for individuals who the mother was applying for assistance. Almost 1/3 were not the father that was named. What happened to Carneal is a prime example. He was not the father of this child, and the mother knew he was not the father's child, so she knowingly made a false allegation. The bill that we have on paternity fraud is that it is a misdemeanor if you are knowingly making a false allegation that this person is the father, because it destroys lives, as Carneal has underwent. We also have a bill that's going to pass tomorrow, and that is to make it perjury for these process servers to lie. What happened in his case was an example that, fortunately, he had the evidence to say that it was a lie. If he didn't have that evidence, he would be owing $130,000 in back child support for a child that is not his because of the mother was not truthful and the process server was not truthful.
But, from a logistic standpoint, we all know the child is not, for instance, Carneal's. The mother admits it. DNA tests prove that, and there was no relationship, as you weren't married to the woman.
No.
So how in the world can he just be put on the hook and say, you know something, you're just stuck. Good luck.
It's unfortunate that in a situation like that, where a mother who knows she's never had a relationship with this man, he is not the father, can name him, and if there is a process server who is not truthful and says, well, I served you, you have 21 days to respond. If you don't, you are on the hook for that child support for the rest of that time with that child.
Well, thank you so much for bringing a spotlight on this and doing your work in Lansing. And Carneal, thank you so much for sharing your story and putting a spotlight on this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you both.